Boy, have I gotten a lot of crap over the last 2 days for daring to criticize Democrats 2 weeks before election. Jordan, I've even been asked, we like that you criticize Democrats, but could you wait till November 7th? Because apparently journalism is a forum that I'm supposed to selectively just kind of take a vacation from criticize Democrats to prop them up. But let me tell you something. For any politician to say that the greatest threat to democracy is not lobbyists, for any politician to say the greatest threat to democracy is not lobbying that is done by the big banks, the oil companies, the pharmaceutical companies, Silicon Valley, big real estate, big financial firms, that's BS. Because you can't have a democracy if you don't have elected representatives that represent people, but they represent special interests. And those special interests are dominated by lobbyists. Brian Irvin says, biggest threat to democracy is the commodification and corporatization of every facet of our lives. Media, education, healthcare. Totally agree. Totally agree. Status C. Hadish. So Jordan going to make commentary on Politicon? No, I'm not. I didn't watch any of it. Not my thing. Sorry. These conferences to me are kind of dumb. I'm more interested in going in the field and covering real stories than going and debating right-wing lunatics. I mean, if somebody flew me out to the next Politicon and they want me to debate a right-wing lunatic, I'll do it. But to be honest with you, I think a lot of these conferences are just so people can have their egos stroked and, create a buzz. I'm not pointing out anyone in specific, but I think it's, there's a lot more important things to cover, and there's a lot more important things that the money that goes to Politicon can go to covering real injustices in America. So Paul says, I don't think we have a democracy anymore to threaten. I completely agree with you. So to me, you put a gun to my head. Do I think Obama is much better than Trump? Of course I do. But the problem is when we continue talking about, let's listen to Obama and let's vote it back in the Democrats to retake the House because Trump is the Antichrist. The problem with that is you put back into the driver's seat the very party that has given you crumbs, that has told you that they're fighting for you, but continues to give you crumbs. And I could tell you, some people say crumbs is better than nothing. Well, what I see out in the country and what I've seen for the last 3 years, people need more than crumbs, folks. People need more than crumbs. There are people living paycheck to paycheck that might lose their homes this month. There are people choosing between medicine or groceries for their kids. So that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. But what I really think is interesting, Obama saying, lobbyists aren't the biggest threat. Well, of course he doesn't think that because he didn't do anything about lobbyists, even though he said he was going to rise the oceans and stem the toxic political influence peddling when he was president. PolitiFact, who I think in many cases is totally full of shit, on this one they got it right. Obama, tougher rules against revolving door for lobbyists and former officials. Promise broken. Promise broken. So here we go. Of the 513 promises we're tracking, this one has become the most controversial. It is the cornerstone of President Obama's campaign theme about limiting the influence of special interests. During the campaign, Obama said many times that lobbyists would not run his White House, and the campaign delighted in tweaking rival John McCain for the former lobbyists who worked on McCain's campaign. Obama's ethics proposal specifically spelled out that former lobbyists would not be allowed to work on regulations or contracts directly and substantially related to their prior employers for 2 years. On his first full day in office, Obama signed an executive order to that effect. But the order has a loophole, a waiver clause that allows former lobbyists to serve. The waiver clause has been used at least 3 times, and in some cases, the administration allows former lobbyists to serve without a waiver. After examining the administration's actions for the past 2 months, we have concluded that Obama has broken his promise. The waiver process in the executive order is certainly official looking, but the waivers are granted by the Obama administration and are little more than the administration saying a former lobbyist is okay. For a candidate who pledged to conduct business out in the open, there's little transparency about when a waiver is required. Even good government advocates we spoke with who promised Obama's overall policy found the waiver process to be unclear. So basically, that was 2009. So Obama certainly granted a lot more waivers throughout his administration. And then if you look at his administration after he left office, not a lot different than every other administration that Obama denied. The past 18 months have been difficult for former members of the Obama administration. They've been replaced by a regime which, in the words of former Domestic Policy Council Director Melody Barnes, quote, shows virtually no respect for constitutional principles or often basic human decency. And now they could do little more than complain about their successor's parade of outrages. Our democracy is under attack, warned former Attorney General Eric Holder. Former Assistant AG Lanny Breuer called the Trump administration's immigration agenda, quote, contrary to the core values of this nation. Conscientious public servants, quote, cannot stay silent, wrote former Department of Homeland Security Secretary Jay Johnson, who also said President Donald Trump's separation of migrant children from their asylum-seeking parents is immoral and un-American. Former White House spokesperson Jay Carney worried about the country's, quote, the country's credibility under Trump. And yet, for all the damage the Trump administration is doing to American democracy, several prominent Obama alums seem to have quietly made their peace with a subtler attack on the legitimacy of U.S. institutions. Today, many are leading the prestige of their White House resumes to scandal-fraught organizations in return for large sums of cash. Some are even doing business with the Trump administration. Plenty of former Obama officials are leading scholarly lives as academics, working with nonprofits or in sectors of the corporate world far from the purview of their previous duties in Washington. Obama spokesperson Eric Schultz told HuffPost on that Obama, quote, implemented unprecedented ethic rules, including cracking down on the revolving door by prohibiting former lobbyists from working on issues on which they lobbied, and by preventing appointees from lobbying the White House after working there. Schultz then added that President Obama's White House was the first in modern history to not have a major scandal. None of the officials named in the article would comment on the record. These days, Johnson receives $290,000 a year to serve on the board of directors at Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin is such a symbol of the new kind of politics that Obama talked about. The largest American defense contractor and the world's biggest weapons manufacturer. It has been fined over $767 million for various forms of misconduct. If we move on here, Barnes is also working as a defense contractor, earning up to $210,000 a year, serving on the board of Booz Allen Hamilton, which held 8 meetings in 2017. There's more. Ride-sharing titan Uber also hired Barnes in May 2016 in an apparent effort to clean up its image as a stream of Uber scandals began. And, of course, Jay Carney, Obama's former press secretary, is now a big honcho at Amazon, who's doing a number on its, they raised the minimum wage, but they're certainly not helping with their working conditions quite yet. Uber seems to have been a preferred pad for Obama officials. Former Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood joined Barnes on the Policy Advisory Board, and Obama's 2008 campaign manager David Plouffe worked as senior vice president at the company from August 2014 until January 2017. He was fined $90,000 by the city of Chicago for illegally lobbying the city's mayor, Rob Emanuel, while working for Uber. Emanuel, who served as Obama's first White House chief of staff, has distinguished himself as a mayor by covering up the police shooting of Laquan McDonald, and now he's not running for re-election. As Attorney General, Holder refused to prosecute Wall Street crime related to the 2008 financial crisis, even as banks agreed to pay billions upon billions of dollars in settlement after settlement with the federal government. Even in cases where major banking institutions pleaded guilty to felony charges, Holder and the DOJ declined to prosecute any actual bankers for crimes. So it makes a pervasive kind of sense that Holder is now a partner at the law firm of Covington and Burlington, a DC-based outfit that specializes in work on behalf of the banking industry. In a remarkable interview with MSNBC's Chris Hayes, Holder downplayed the significance of financial misconduct, suggesting that law enforcement agencies have more important things to deal with. Yeah, More important things to deal with than the global financial crash brought to you by criminal bankers that Barack Obama let out of jail free. Am I missing something, folks? Am I missing something? Paul says, no, sir. It drove us straight to the gates of hell. I agree. And all this talk that America has come back and the economy is roaring, not who I meet out in the field. They're still barely treading water from the financial crash of a decade ago. Adam Nation says, re-education for the lot of them. I agree. So I'm sorry that I find President Obama, who's going out and stumping for centrist Democrats so we could get our centrist Democrats pals back in Congress. And yeah, would centrist Democrats be better than extremist Republicans? Yeah, but better is not good enough. We need real change in this country. And if you continually get suckered in by Barack Obama and Joe Biden, who I'm going to get to in a little bit, and all these centrist Democrats who are really servants of Wall Street, servants of big oil, servants of Silicon Valley, servants of the big pharma, you're getting crumbs for the rest of your life, however long that lasts. And by the way, there's a new story out that America's life expectancy is down compared to some third world countries. I wonder why. Because half the people are poor and half the people have no health care. Maybe that's why. Rob says, Jordan, you don't understand that you need more neoliberalism, not less. Geez. Rob, I hope you're fucking kidding. Boop. Demonetized. I don't care. By the way, this is a super chat. So if you want to support Status Quo, if you want us to get back in the field, if you want to support me, feel free to leave a couple bucks in the super chat. I think we have less viewers today because who I like, what's his face? Joe Rogan is live right now with Kyle Kalinske, who I also like. So I think we probably went wrong at the wrong time, but went live at the wrong time. And by the way, in addition, if you weren't here for the beginning, we're doing an all day live marathon live stream on Sunday as we launch statusquo.com on Sunday, starting at 12 noon. Starting next week, I will be live at the same time every day, 5 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday, maybe not, because I'm getting a root canal. But every other day, I'll be live at 5 p.m. Eastern. Appointment internet. So make sure you attend every day, 5 p.m. Eastern, rain or shine, unless I have root canals or other things like that. And I will put the link in here one more time for you folks. We're at $13,115 of the GoFundMe. We're trying to get to $15,000 by the end of this month. And thank you, Neilon, getting the super chat started today. And $2. Thank you, Neilon. And Joe says, and Jordan will be dancing live. I will dance as long as you keep the support coming. I will dance live. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to have videos that Jen does, and we're going to have videos that Ty does about why you need to become a member to Status Quo. Because our motto long-term is going to be membership. We need an independent media revolution in this country, and it starts with you guys.